Gabriel Summers, aka Kid Vulcan, aka Vulcan, aka Great Vulcan, aka Emperor Vulcan. Bottom line is, nigga likes the word Vulcan. First appearance, X-Men Deadly Genesis, January 2006. Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feogrande on YouTube, back with another episode of the Whatever We Want podcast. And as usual, I am joined by my co-host, running mate, one of my best friends in the world, he who bears watching, Superjaz.
Oh, you mean me?
Yes.
Me. You said Superjaz. I'm trying to figure out who this hell that is. Who fuck is Superjaz?
That man is you.
That's me.
You.
I'm not Superjaz.
I'm Superjaz.
I'm Zadgeripus. Get it? Because it's Superjaz backwards. Anyway, yes, everybody, right? You can call me Superjaz, Jazz, SJ, JT, whatever you want to have you in the like. And yes, this is the Whatever We Want podcast, where we do just that. We talk about whatever we want. We do not lead this conversation. This conversation leads us, and we let these chips fall where they may.
Every Wednesday. So you were gonna say something when I said.
Huh? I didn't hear what you said.
I said, were you trying to do the thing where you mashed on it and repeated it?
Yeah, but it kept starting over. So I just said,
Anyway. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, how many fucking kids did the motherfuckers have?
Oh no, that's Scott's brother.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought his brother was Havoc.
He has two.
Because one of the writers just randomly said it was a third one.
Yeah, pretty much. So you notice how his first appearance was in 2006.
No, I did notice that.
Yeah, so Gabriel is the result of a retcon / someone looking at a line Mr. Sinister said in the 90s. In the 90s, shortly after Strife dies or something like that, Scott's at, or no, I don't even know if it's Strife, but Scott's at a cemetery for some reason. And Sinister is there because, of course, why not? And he says some kind of line involving, like, I'd hate for something to happen to you or your brothers. And he's like, brothers? I have one brother. Huh? Did I say brothers? Oops. Anyway, and just move on. That's like 92 that comic came out. 2006, someone's like
14 years, 15 years fucking later.
He mentioned brother. I got a retcon for us. So, he retconned it. So, I say this because we're going to go into a little bit of a history lesson while I describe this Gabriel character. You know how the X-Men originally started in 63 and had like a run for like the late 60s?
Now, okay.
Okay, so they started in 63 and they had a good run for like the first 50 or so chapters where it was like, new shit every week. Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, blah, 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 blah. You get a lot of the foundations of the X-Men universe. Around 68 or so, they stopped coming out with new material for the X-Men. And instead, a good chunk of their chapters, it was just, hey, here's an old story of the X-Men, but with their modern day outfits. Yeah. And the series was pretty much about to die. They eventually had Hank leave and become an Avenger. They had, oh no, I don't think Hank had done the Avenger thing yet. I think the series was just gonna go down the hill and die.
Hank is a beast.
Yeah. And he does eventually become an Avenger. But I'm not sure if that happened during that period. However, 1975, a different writer comes on the scene like, hey, I think I can revive the X-Men series. His name was Chris Claremont, who I know I've mentioned on the show.
Yes, I say you mentioned him a lot.
Yeah. And he came out with, Giant Size X-Men #1, which had, the debut in X-Men, at least, of Wolverine. We also debuted Nightcrawler, Storm, Colossus. Banshee gets brought back to be a member as well. Banshee and Sunfire get brought back as former villains turned X-Men. And then there's Mr. Thunderbird, who dies in 3 chapters because he was too similar to Wolverine. And one of them had to go. It ended up being Thunderbird, but that's a whole story for another day. Anyway, this Giant Size X-Men team is recruited. The mission they're recruited for is to save the original X-Men. Because the original X-Men had apparently been sent to an island called Krakoa. Because Cerebro's like, oh shit, really powerful mutant on Krakoa, you better fucking go there. And so he's like, okay, I'm sending you guys out to Krakoa. Apparently something happened that was super fucking terrible and only Scott could come back. But Scott knew the other X-Men, or figured the other X-Men had been captured. Maybe we can go save them. So Charles puts together this Storm, the Storm, and all these other people that I mentioned earlier. That's the team built to go save the original X-Men. They get down there. Turns out the island was possessed, or the island itself was the mutant. It was a sentient island, and it was capturing the people who came to absorb their life force or whatever. They eventually beat it by Storm combining her powers with Jean's to pretty much separate the island from Earth's magnetic pull and launch that bitch into space. I
didn't want to interrupt you. It's just what?
Yeah. Fuck this island.
You combine your weather powers with my telekinesis, bitch. What?
And somehow separate the island from Earth and launch that shit into space. Also, Havoc and Polaris were there, and I think it was a big team attack that involved them as well, but that doesn't matter. Bottom line is, we saved the day. Yay! Story goes on as normal. Original X-Men quit because that was a little bit too much for them. Hank goes to become an Avenger. Iceman and Warren do their things. Doesn't matter. Rest of the story, you all know it. Well, it turns out in 2006, someone's like, what if that wasn't the first team sent to get the X-Men? Because it is turned out, just part of the original plot point, that when Scott left the island, he forgot everything that happened on the island. He just figured the rest of the X-Men were alive and he could go back and save them. Because that's what the island wanted him to remember, because it wanted more food in the form of new mutants that it can feed off their life essence. So they knew if he comes back with more, the island's like, I get more free food and just trap him. Especially if he doesn't know until we get here that the island's alive. And that's 1975. That's part of the original story. Where it comes in is, like I said, it turns out in X-Men Deadly Genesis that while Charles was doing his shit with the X-Men, a character who hadn't really been introduced in X-Men yet, Moira McTaggart, by now she had been introduced, but at that point she hadn't. But she was coming up with her own group of mutants on the other side of the world. One of which turning out to be a young Gabriel Summers, who, because Scott and his brother, their parents died in a plane crash, quote unquote. Turns out the parents didn't die, they just got abducted by aliens. An alien race eventually known to be the Shi'ar. And again,
that's the retcon button.
That's not even rec. Yeah, to be fair, the Shi'ar abduction. We knew about the Shi'ar abduction of the parents during the Phoenix Saga, during the Shi'ar's introduction, because Cyclops' dad comes back into the story. Corsair.
Okay, but they didn't wait all the way to 2006 to say that shit. What you said,
right?
But it's that's still like anytime you get stuck into shit.
Yeah.
Time travel.
Yeah, it was like aliens abducted the parents and killed the mom. Emperor Dakin killed the mom. or Deacon, however you pronounce his name. It's D''Ken. Emperor of the Shi'ar.
We're digging.
He was dicking. So Emperor Deacon. Oh, I can't. Okay. Yes, so him.
You about to
he
joking? He decided not to.
Yeah, given some of the stuff that he eventually gets, that he does, or whatever. He he may have been dicking some people down, and maybe not with their consent. So that's why I was like, oh shit, no, that's terrible. Like when you said dicking, I was like, and then I was like, oh no, I can't. But anyway, bottom line, and one of those, yeah. Bottom line is, that's part of why Cyclops' dad never came back to Earth. He ended up being the space pirate trapped on the other side of the universe, fighting the evil Shi'ar Empire. And it wasn't until the X-Men as adults during Phoenix Saga shit ended up dealing with the Shi'ar that all came into fruition. However, turns out that Cyclops' mom was pregnant at the time. And the baby ended up being Gabriel, but because of reasons that I won't get into because I don't remember the exact details, but Shi'ar stuff, they pretty much imprisoned him or whatever. And eventually he got trapped on Earth or imprisoned on Earth, along with one of his teammates. And eventually, whatever, she forms a team involving Gabriel. Moria does, because she discovers Gabriel. She forms a team with Gabriel, a guy that we would come to know as Darwin, and some other people who are less important. Darwin because they referenced him in First Class. Unlike in First Class, no, his power works the way it's supposed to in the comics. So much that one day when he had to fight the Hulk, I remember seeing a clip of it or a shot of it. When he had to fight the Hulk, how does he evolve to survive a fight with the Hulk? He learned the ability to teleport just for that one moment and teleported away. That's his body adapting to survive. How do you survive the Hulk? Get the fuck away from the Hulk.
Yeah, that's funny. But no, your ass. His powers work the way it's supposed to.
Well, he wasn't supposed to die. He's literally supposed to be unkillable. They said that in the movie too. His body adapts to survive anything. He should have been able to adapt to survive explosionosis.
His powers work the way they're supposed to.
Look, they don't like making people's powers work the way they're supposed to in those movies. They did it with Kitty, and I guess I shouldn't have been surprised with Kitty in Days of Future Past, because they already decided we don't care how people's powers are supposed to work. We're going to adapt it to our own way. So that's fine. Anyway. Well,
we already talked about Days of Future Past. They were like, we don't care about nothing. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is stupidly popular. Find a way to make it.
And again, like I said, I'm fine with them making their movies, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least point out that that's not how the powers work. Anyway, Darwin also was one of those people. But she makes this team and she's like, I'm going to train them up to just learn how to use their powers. Not necessarily to be a superhero group, because having teenagers go out in life or death situations is very fucking stupid, in her mind. Because she's like, I don't know, I don't agree with what Charles is doing. However, Charles sends those X-Men to the island. And suddenly, when Scott comes back the first time, he's like, and tells him, Charles feels bad, and Scott feels terrible about himself. It's like, I'm supposed to be their leader, and as far as I know, they're probably all dead, or maybe they're captured. If I could do anything to save them, oh my God, I let my friends die, type shit. Because Scott's a teenager, getting sent out on fucking life or death situations. Well, he's a late teen. He might be almost 20 at this point. No, I didn't, because Zoom likes mutant things. What'd you say?
I was saying something dumb, because you were like I should have done this and I should have done something. I said he was digging him down.
For all I know, Gene's getting dicked down by the island. That's terrible. That's terrible. I don't know why I said that, but anyway, moving on. So Charles is like, I need to do something. Wait, Moira. Hey, buddy. You remember me from back in the day? Oh, no, Charles, you get your ass out of here. No. I need a favor. I know you're making a team of kids that are mutants and training them in your own version of a danger room. I need some teenage mutant superheroes because I got mine killed, I think. And you want to kill mine? Well, they could probably save them. I don't know, Charles. They barely know how to use the power. Come on, it'll be fine. Also, wait a minute. Reads Gabriel's mind. Holy shit. Yep. Hey, you and Scott are probably brothers. And then they realize they are brothers, and that's cool. Hey, brother, nice to meet you. I had an extra brother this whole time? I had any brothers this whole time? Yay! Hey, you should meet our brother Alex. Actually, we need to save our brother Alex now that you mention it. Let's do it! New version of the X-Men. Whole team, let's go to Krakoa. And they land on Krakoa. And it turns out, Gabriel can shoot out lasers. His lasers are yellow. And he can pretty much just shoot out lasers. And he's more powerful than the other two.
Wait, he can shoot his out his hands?
He can shoot them out his hands or his eyes or whatever. He has a lot. He gets the ability. He gets the added benefit of being introduced 2 decades or more than 2 decades after the originals. So he's got to, be power crept up to everybody else. So let's see. Abilities. Vast energy absorption. So instead of just absorbing cosmic energy or solar energy like his brothers, he just energy absorption in general. He can also transform and project energy and however he sees. He can fly. He can project force fields. He's got life support and limited regeneration. Limited superpower replication. Whatever the fuck geokinesis is. No, he's ridiculous. And he's resistant to psionic attacks because why not?
He should have been. His thing should have been. You got eye beams, hand beams. He should have been shooting shit out of his belly button, and there you go.
Or mouth beams, like a fucking Dragon Ball character.
Or that. Fuck. They should have. It should have been, motherfucker. He shoot out of a different body part, not some fucking. Oh, I can do everything. It's like no, we're brothers.
The hula hoop thing that they made Havoc do in the movies. So he's like, I got a hula hoop with laser hula hoops. That eventually I had to get the things to focus it to my hands.
It's been so long since I've seen the movie. I don't remember that part.
Yeah, anyway, here's when he first used his powers. He had no control over it, just kind of hula hooped off his body and like tore shit up. And so they had to build a device to focus it to his hands.
Your like fucking super X-Men loving ass was probably like, what is this bullshit?
And it's like, what's your powers, Alex? I'll just run. And it's like, what the fuck? What is this? No, but I don't want to sound like I'm knocking the movie First Class. It's a good movie.
I know.
I'm for the people at home.
Goading you into talking shit. You're goading me into talking shit.
But yeah. So Gabriel and everybody, let's go. We got a girl. I think her name was Tara or something along those lines. Yes, similar to the fucking Teen Titans chick. Earth powers. We got a chick that I think did some time shit. Like something with time. Whether it was pause it for a second or pause it within a specific area. I don't remember. I want to say it had something to do with time and that was her powers. Oh, that's why he has the chronokinesis and geokinesis because of them. Okay, yeah. So yeah, those were definitely their powers. And something else. And Darwin existed too. Anyway, they land on Krakoa, and they don't get captured. Scott immediately remembers that all the other X-Men are captured because he finally landed, and Krakoa's like, hey, here's your memories back. Remember, this is a terrible place? Congrats, you've been trapped again. Yeah, you did exactly what I wanted. Fuck! However, rather than get captured, they all get murdered. Like, the Earth chick and the Time chick, dead. Darwin appears to die. Somebody else, person number 5, who I can't even remember at all, dead as well. Everybody, Gabriel, last to die in front of Scott, and Scott's like, holy shit, this is terrible. Oh my god, I gotta escape. Oh no, I think they sacrificed themselves so Scott can escape the second time, because he's like, I'm not leaving y'all again. But he does, and then he forgets that everybody... exactly what happened to them, but he gets back to Charles and he's like, oh god, they got captured again now. And now he's like, I finally met my brother and I let him to die just like possibly my first brother. Oh my God, I didn't even know I had a brother, and I both met and lost him in the span of a month. Holy shit. To which Charles is like, yeah, this is a little bit too much for like a late teen to deal with. So we're just gonna forget that second mission to Krakoa or the fact that you have another brother. You're just gonna forget that. We're not dealing with that. So he erased that from Scott's memories and then recruited the team we know from 1975. Only for years later to find out that not only did he somehow survive, but Darwin survived by like melding with the dude's body or some shit, I guess, to make sure they both survived. Because comics, I don't remember the exact details. But bottom line is, he survived, was discovered in a prison, and he's like, oh my God. But he remembered Scott. He's like, oh, Scott, you're gonna save me, right? Where were you the whole time? I have a brother. What? I don't know who you are, you powerful mutant you, because I think he was discovered by Cerebro again because reasons. But I'm gonna fight you. Ah! And he goes crazy, and eventually, because long story is short, he goes evil, flies, eventually says, fuck this shit, I'm going to space, goes to space, goes to the Shi'ar Empire, and takes over, marrying Deathbird in the process. Who's Deathbird? The sister, the daughter of the kin, and sister of Lilandra. Lilandra being the Empress of the Shi'ar that Charles is the famous for being the consort of. Charles's alien waifu. Yeah. So, and Deathbird got around though. She got with Vulcan. I know Bishop was with Deathbird at one point. I'm not sure about Forge. I know Forge got with Storm and Mystique. I'm not sure if he also went with Deathbird. Did Colossus? I don't think Colossus was with Deathbird. But she had a few. No, Colossus was Domino and Kitty. Yeah.
I thought Domino was mainly some Deadpool shit.
No. Well, she was introduced around the same time, but she's more related to the whole Cable scenario than she is to Deadpool.
Because pretty much anytime I hear Domino mention Deadpool is mentioned also.
They were both, like I said, they were both introduced into like chapter 90 or so of New Mutants, and both had to do with Cable at that time. And during their introduction, who had just recently been introduced, some random old nigga named Cable that's just like, you New Mutants ain't soldiers enough. Who the fuck is you? You gotta be soldiers. I'm taking over this group because I don't remember exactly what happened in the story at this time. Sorry. It's been a minute. But bottom line is, he kind of took over as a de facto leader for them and kind of morphed them into soldiers, so much to the fact that
X-Force shit.
That they eventually became X-Force. The original version of X-Force was the New Mutants pretty much considering themselves having graduated, being the X-Babies, as they were nicknamed by folks like Kitty, who was the same age as them, but she considered herself more mature and adult because she was a card-carrying X-Man.
What's the name? Deadpool tried to join the X-Men at one point, didn't he?
At numerous points.
But he couldn't. But wait, he was born with his regenerative ability, you know? That's right. He got injected with.
Yeah, Weapon X program shit. Yeah. He had super cancer, and he wanted to get his super cancer cured, and so he agreed to do the Weapon X thing. And when they gave him the healing factor, they're like, congrats, you can heal from anything. However, you couldn't heal from the cancer. Instead, it's super duper cancer, and you just got to deal with that the rest of your life. So he's constantly in a case of his cancerous cells dying and then regenerating.
Yeah, right. That's why, and they. I mean, I knew that before the movie, but that is one thing they did a good job of explaining in the movie too. I thought. Mm-hmm. Because that's why he wears the mask, because his face is so fucked up, because his body is actually pretty much decaying. Yeah. All the time. Yeah. It's just funny because it's like super cancer. Are you fucking serious? Yeah. But no, I did know that. The reason
it wasn't literally called super cancer, but story purposes, it's super cancer.
But that's why anybody who tries to join the X-Men with powers like that, they don't get picked up because you have to be born with your mutant ability.
No. If
I
they
thought that was a
were,
reason why Spider-Man didn't get it
mm-mm.
because he wasn't born with his abilities.
No, they're probably like, that's why he's not a mutant, but that's not why he's not a member of the X-Men.
Oh, I thought that was what?
No, Juggernaut's been an X-Men. Juggernaut's been an X-Man. And that nigga wasn't born with his powers. Just for an example, Juggernaut's been an X-Man. It was a very briefly lived stint where Juggernaut tried to be a good guy and reconcile things with Charles. He even had a little kid sidekick. And then eventually Cytorak told him, like, hey, and then he realized, hey, I'm getting weaker. Why am I getting weaker? And Cytorak, the evil deity of which he's the avatar of, was like, well, it's because you ain't evil, nigga. I'm an evil deity. Do evil shit.
On like some Majin Vegeta shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, one thing that'll make you much stronger, Vegeta. You already kind of angry anyway. Why don't you just lean into that anger and just let me make you just fully evil, and I like your evilness. Okay.
Oh my God, that's why he's Majin. Oh, he's literally an evil person, Vegeta.
What does Majin mean?
That's probably literally saying it's like evil person. I could be wrong, but I know Jin is like person in Japanese. Like take the Saiyans rather than them actually being Saiyans, they're the Saiyajin or vegetable people.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why they're all named after vegetables.
I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Wait, so Jin in X-Men is just person?
No.
I'm being stupid.
Japanese.
That is a different language, right? I was joking anyway. But wait, Japanese. Wait, okay. Well, what language is DBZ?
Japanese by default.
So then, what language was Tekken?
Tekken? Oh, because you say, why is he Jin Kazama?
I said, because
that's also Japanese, and I hear you. But you also got to remember that. All right, so Japanese is a weird language, and not to say English isn't, but from what little bit of Japanese I know, you got your three different writing systems: your katakana, your hiragana, your kanji. Those are the main three. They're all to layman's terms, different symbols that mean the same shit. Your katakana and hiragana are more like letters or representative, or the closest thing of representative to letters in Japanese language, whereas kanji is symbols that mean whole ass words. And the kanjis, you can have one kanji mean like three different things, and you got to deal with the context of it. So you can have a kanji that's pronounced Jin, but it can mean person. It can mean two other things. I don't know. But in that case, it just depends on the context. Like if I were to say that someone's a Saiyajin or a Gaijin, they're this kind of person, like a vegetable person, or a Gaijin is like foreigner, like the slanderous term they use for like foreigners over there. And then they call us Gaijins, like outsiders, like outside person type deal. So who knows what the Jin and Jin Kazama can translate to answer your question. But like kami can mean God, it can mean paper, it can mean hair, it can mean, and it's all pronounced kami.
It's just the way you said it, where you're like, because I was just being stupid, but you were like, no, Japanese.
Well, I was putting it to get, when you said the Majin Vegeta thing, you said, why not just be an evil person? That was me putting my very ignorant, not fully educated American mind. So calm down. I'm not saying I'm 100% correct, Japanese experts. But that's me putting what little bit of Japanese knowledge I have from anime/Duolingo and saying, oh, maybe it literally translates to evil person for the Majins, who are all evil in Dragon Ball.
But what I was getting at was, it was just the way that you were just like correcting me, like, no, man, it's Japanese. And I'm like, isn't this all Isn't that so? That it's just how
No,
it
you said
sounded.
in X-Men, Jin means this. I'm like, no, Japanese, because Dragon Ball's Japanese.
No, Tekken. Also Tekken.
And then Tekken's also Japanese, and then I went into I don't know if it means person, because I'm assuming that's why you brought up Tekken. Was it not because of Jin Kazama?
No, it was. It was. I said because Jin knew he's just named person. I'm just being stupid. It just
he could be named Person Man.
It's just
I have seen characters named that.
I feel like there's a slight bit getting lost in what we're talking about, but we ain't talking about nothing important anyway, so it's all good. What was I gonna say? I don't know, but I mean, in other news, you're a grand old flag. I don't know. I don't know what I'm fucking. So you know what I want to do by the end of the year? Well, what are you thinking? You making that I thought of a joke I shouldn't make face.
No, I'm not thinking anything. What's going on?
Okay, if you say so. I don't believe you. No, I'm just anyway. By the end of the year, I don't know if you saw on Facebook. Did you see what I posted a little bit ago? What I want to do by the end of the year? Something very, very like something huge, crazy, like a big, like, oh shit, for real. I never thought I'd want to do this thing. You didn't see what I posted? I want to go skydiving.
Okay. I do have a friend or two that has gone skydiving and came back alive, so you know, it's a lot safer now.
I fucking hope so.
It's a lot safer now than it used to be. And that's fun.
I do have a friend or two who's gone skydiving, and it was a sad funeral. Like, I was glad it didn't end that way. Shit. No, I never thought that I would want to, but I'm telling everybody right now, and if you were in St. Louis, I'd be like, yeah, what's your excuse to not come with me? But you're not in St. Louis, so whatever. But if you were in St. Louis, you would, motherfucker. I'm telling everybody, I told at Easter, I told the fam, I told some of my coworkers, I posted on Facebook for some of my friends and told some of my close friends. I'm like, yo, by the end of the year, by December 31st, and obviously, you know, the colder it gets, it ain't gonna happen anyway. But by December 31st, I want to jump out of a motherfucking plane with a parachute, obviously. And then some people are like, you sure you gonna pull the cord? I'm like, no. I found some place where you pay somebody money and the expert is strapped to your back, because ain't no way in fuck I trust myself pulling my own fucking cord. Hell no. So you gonna get strapped to a like you and an expert are gonna be, you know, tandem jumping. But I found somewhere and you pay them, you know, a few hundred, and they take you up in a plane and y'all jump out, and you know they pull the cord and all that shit. They even said at one point during the fall, you get control of the reins so you can steer yourself for like a few seconds and shit. And all this stuff. So I was like, fuck. I told everybody too. I told everybody I'm dead ass serious. I'm gonna be scared as shit the day that it's happening.
I was saying, I'm terrified thinking about it. Like, the idea of jumping out of a plane does not appeal to me. But
this is the thing. I don't know why something in my head clicked, but it's because I'm 32, and so far my 30s are being my 20s were good to me. Mm-hmm. My 30s are being really good so far, and I'm having a lot of milestones. Right, like I released the solo album. Shit, the year I turned 30, I think it was. Yeah, I released it that year. A few years later, I have the idea what I want to do for an even bigger follow-up sophomore album. Mm-hmm. I'm working a really good job that I'm getting paid, like, you know, good for. And then I'm sound designing for the first time. And the biggest thing so far is producing the show.
Okay.
And something
so you're going to follow that up with jumping out of a plane.
Something in my head clicked and was like, my 30s are being really fucking good. And one night, a few weeks ago, I was looking online, and I was like, I never thought I want to do this, but let's go, 30s. Okay. And then I'm kind of telling everybody else so they can come with me. Because if it was one, you want to share this something like that with somebody, at least one other person.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, if I tell everybody else, hey, we're gonna do this, then if I didn't got 6, 7, 10 fucking people come whip my ass, I can't bitch out. I want to say by the end of the by the time I die, I want to be like, yo, I jumped out of a fucking plane. So, and I never thought I would want to do this, but these years so far, the span of years has been good, man. I never thought I'd want to do this. I always said bungee jumping and skydiving were two things I didn't want to do because I didn't want to jump out of a plane because I didn't want to do that unless I had to. And I always said skydiving and bungee jumping because I was like, I didn't want to do anything where my life is contingent on like that much contingent on my equipment. Now I'm like, yo, let's fucking jump out of a goddamn plane. I ain't ready for bungee jumping yet. That feels too much like I'm jumping to my fucking death. Way too much. At least with the skydiving, I got an expert on my back. Okay. This is just like, I hope I didn't give myself too much slack.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one yet. I don't know about that one. It was like, I hope that this fucking cord doesn't snap on the way down.
Exactly. Like, I'm good. Oh, you gave me the 200-pound cord as opposed to the 210-pound cord. I'm dead.
Meanwhile, I want to lose some weight. I want to lose some weight just to lose it, but I weigh about 215. So that extra 10, 15 pounds. Oops.
Yeah, exactly. My bad.
It's like, well, you know, it's 2023. We've learned a little bit more about CTE. You'll be okay, right? Fucking head bleeding. But no. I always said I wouldn't want to do something where my life depended that much on my equipment. But like I said, with the fact that I got an expert strapped on my back, then I feel safer. Because like I said, if I had to jump out the plane and put my own cord, I would not be doing this. Fuck no. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. No. And Zoom probably distorted that and I don't even give a fuck.
It actually didn't.
Oh shit. Go ahead, Zoom. But now, man, by the end of the year, and I posted on Facebook too, and 2 people commented and was like, yo, let's go. Out of like 2 people I know. And then one of my like really good friends, she commented and was like, because I was like, I want to skydive by the end of the year. Who comes with me? And she said me. And I commented back and I was like, yo, I'm serious. By December 31st, I want to do this. And she said, just let me know where to be. Let's go. So, and I told some of my coworkers, like I said, Nate's like, yeah. And I told, like I said, my family, and pretty much nobody at Easter was like, fuck no. but except for like my little cousins who were like 12 and 13 and 16 and you know shit like that. And I was like, all right. So I'm trying to get some people to come, man. It's gonna be a good time. If you were in St. Louis, would you do it?
Highly unlikely.
Barring money.
Highly unlikely. I won't say yes or I won't give a definitive yes or no because situations are situational. That's part of why I'm like highly unlikely because I also don't really want to risk that jumping out of a plane unless I have to. You know, like let's say I had to do it for a movie for some reason. There's a skydive scene. Okay. I would have to learn how to skydive. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want the skydive scene to be like fucking Mission Impossible Fallout, where the niggas is fighting in the midair and wrestling and shit with the fucking, and that's actually filmed in real time as they jump out of the plane. Like, by the way, that scene in Fallout, that's just them. They're filming it actually jumping through the sky. There's no lightning, obviously, the lightning CGI, but the bodies falling through the sky and all that shit with the faulty equipment that you had to release just in time to hang on a fucking building in fucking Italy. Nah, that's them. And it's like, what the fuck?
Tom Cruise is out of his mind. Tom Cruise does so many of his own stunts, and all of them are fucking crazy.
Or like later in the movie where he jumped over a street from one building to another and hit his like stomach on the like catch, or he like barely makes it. No padding underneath. That is the actual street. He breaks his ankle on the take that they used, so they had to use that one. And he had done it like 4 times because he was aiming for that just barely made it type catch. He wanted to just barely make the landing, and he had made it too easily the first few times. And
there's like one part, and this dude is like in his fucking 50s. And there's one part, I think it was Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which I really loved. The female protagonist, Ilsa Faust. I remember her name just because I loved her in that. I was like, she was one of the best. Anyway, I loved her. Anyway. In Rogue Nation, I believe it was that, where he's like, and I think he was 50 at the time. And this dude is like shirtless and chained up to a fucking like long ass pipe. And it's like, first of all, he's 50 and he's got abs. First of all, he's got fucking abs. And then he like shimmies up this fucking pipe just by throwing his legs up. And I'm like, what the fuck, Tom? What the hell? This bitch just, I'm gonna shimmy up this pipe. Bitch. You got fucking Mark Wahlberg and fucking Daddy's Home, or what was the shit with Will Ferrell or whatever the fuck it was. I think it was that, where he was over here doing one-arm chin-ups. And it's like, what the fuck, man?
But that nigga looks like he can do one-arm chin-ups.
When you say Tom Cruise doesn't necessarily look like he can do all the shit he does.
At first glance, no. But like you see the fucking yokedness of Wahlberg, and I'm like, okay. I can see that nigga do it. Dude was doing that shit in the 90s and it's fucking, and the Funky Bunch shit. Look how fucking...
The difference is...
He wasn't 50?
One, he wasn't 50, right. But then on top of that, he was more in shape because his whole thing was the male model, like, yeah, I rap, but I'm male model type shit. He's kept that shit for these decades still. He doesn't even play sex symbol in his movies. He plays just like the older, middle-aged, like action hero type shit.
Or some douchebag from Boston.
Yeah,
or that. I mean the character is a douchebag, not the fact that he's from Boston makes him a douchebag. I had to do that disclaimer based on previous episodes.
You did, yeah, you did. But I knew what you meant, but I know why you said that, right?
A douchebag who happens to be from Boston.
Yeah, right. But no, like he doesn't even look like it. He doesn't even try to like say, "Hey, look how sexy I am," or even to play it up in any way. He doesn't even really do with his movies big time leading man type shit, like opposite the romantic interest type or whatever type stuff. But the fact that he's kept that shit going, because okay, in the 90s, like I said, he was sex symbol, crazy physique, modeling, all this shit. So he looked like he could do it. This motherfucker decades later, still fucking unassuming ass. Oh, by the way, this isn't green screen. Like, what? Yeah, that shit crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, Tom Cruise is crazy. But no, it would take some convincing, but to say that I would be convinced to jump out the thing, I don't see it happening, but you probably could have. I wouldn't put it. I'd say there's like an 85-90% chance I'm saying no.
My thing is, I'm not anyone who doesn't want to do it. I'm not even gonna go back and forth with them, even really a little bit for real. Like I might be like, "You sure?" Okay, because I understand. I'm not gonna be like, "Come on, man." No, I get it. So I'm not really going back and forth with anybody. If somebody says I don't want to do it, That's
Yeah,
fine.
but I mean, it is also a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Facts. Facts. Um, and while I still have a decent amount of change in my wallet, I'm gonna go ahead and like do it, because you never know somewhere down the line when money gets a little bit tighter. So now I'm gonna do it while I can spare a little bit on the cost of that. But no, Ibn said no. Ibn was like, "I'll go," which is funny because he wasn't the only one that said. He said, "I'll go and on and watch y'all do it." Like I said, he wasn't the only one that said that though. But apparently, Ibn has like a fear of heights. So
As do I.
really,
Yes. You know how easily you can die from falling from heights?
but no, there's a difference between I'm afraid of certain shit here, certain shit there, certain shit here, or I have a fear of heights. There's a difference. Everybody's afraid of a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but a fear of something like yeah. And I don't mean like straight phobia, but
I'm pretty sure that I get to say it as in the lightest form possible because I don't know how scared I need to be to have a legit fear of heights. But I am not comfortable in high places because I am heavily concerned about falling from said high places. Now, if that's not a fear or being afraid, sure, I guess I'm perfectly fine. But I highly uncomfortable. And the idea of jumping from a plane, I didn't like looking out of the windows at the arch. I'll put it that way. And that's only the arch.
I was nervous riding the fucking tram up that motherfucker because it was so tight. And if that shit seemed so goddamn unsafe riding up that shit. I remember because I mean, it was years ago we rode up to that motherfucker for the family reunion. Years ago. I was like much younger. And I remember being like, bro, this shit seems unsafe as fuck. So once we got up there, it was fun. The swaying of that bitch was scary. Because it naturally sways a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. The good old arch. I was talking with Bill the other day and I remembered an old school like yo mama joke from when I was a kid. The yo mama so fat she sat on the arch and made a McDonald's sign. And I had never thought about it until recently, just how unique to St. Louis that insult would be. Because who else? That like how St. Louis, how you grew up in St. Louis of an insult that is.
I'd never heard that.
Oh, your mama so fast she sat on the arch and made a McDonald's sign.
Yeah, I never heard that. That's funny though.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Like I used to live. I went to high school in DC, and if I would have made that joke to them in DC, they might have like got it up to a point, but it wouldn't have hit the same.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. Or shit, if you say that to people in Orlando,
right? Yeah, I mentioned the normal arch as it is, and they're like, "Wait, what's the arch again? What the fuck?"
Okay. The thing, man, the thing that gets me, and obviously there's no blanket statement for any population of any city or state or whatever. But the thing that gets me is just how many people in certain cities and states don't know shit about anything except in their like radius. Because it's like, bruh, I ain't from the Seattle. I know the Space Needle, bitch. The fuck, like,
yeah.
And it's just like the amount of motherfuckers when I did live in DC that didn't know shit about St. Louis, let alone anything that wasn't within the DMV, which is in DC, Maryland, Virginia, DC, Baltimore, and the like Virginia cities. And it was just like the amount of people that didn't know shit about anything that wasn't like in their area. And like I said, it ain't blanket, but it was a good amount of people who didn't know shit. I feel like I may have come over here and said this, but if not, no, there was a lot of people when we went to DC that thought that St. Louis was in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, lots of people thought that St. Louis was in Louisiana that I've met.
No, in Louisiana, but they thought it was in New Orleans.
Well, isn't Bay St. Louis in New Orleans?
Do you not? I know you hear what I'm saying.
No, I hear you, but I'm asking a question about Bay St. Louis because that is a thing, ain't it?
You're joking about it being in New Orleans. You're joking.
Is it in Louisiana? Is it in Mississippi? Where's Bay St. Louis? I'm from actual St. Louis, and I know people always got mad at us, or always got us confused with Bay St. Louis.
I ain't never heard nobody even know Bay St. Louis existed. I happen to have family from there.
All right.
Bay St. Louis is in Mississippi. I got family.
So it is Mississippi. Okay. That was my first thought, but I was like, if it is near Louisiana, then maybe it's in New Orleans, and that's where the confusion comes from. But no, St. Louis should not be in New Orleans. I know why they think it. Because you have... I know what you think. I agree that it's a stupid idea, Jazz. That's not what we're arguing. I'm trying to argue why they think this.
I'm talking about, do you not understand that is a city in a city? A city cannot be in a city.
They clearly don't consider us a city, Jazz. Now, then...
a lot of motherfuckers on the coast think that the entire Midwest is just a whole bunch of hicks, and it's just like, yeah, fuck y'all. But anyway.
Yeah, they don't consider us a city. That's a given. They may also get confused with the New Orleans Saints. Now you got the New Orleans Saints, and then you had the St. Louis Rams back in the day. So you had two teams going against each other. Do you really think New Orleans is that big a city where they'd give them two football teams? No. Come on, people.
But I just remember that, man. I know I've said this on the podcast before, but the amount of people when we went, because we went in 2005, and the amount of people in DC that thought that we were coming to get away from Hurricane Katrina. They thought we happened to move down there because of devastation that Katrina left, and it was just like, are y'all fucking stupid?
What, you think we live on a farm? It could be for real.
Shit, Nelly didn't help the cause by calling his shit country grammar, because everybody think we already country as shit anyway. And I mean, I'm not mad at Nelly for doing it. I'm just saying everybody already he was doing it a little more like, yo, this is just how I talk a little bit, and embrace it, and y'all already think I'm country anyway, blah blah blah. But them motherfuckers really be thinking that we that motherfucking like hicked out, and they make jokes like it's all this farmland and shit. And it's like, bro, it is not. No, what the you dumbass? Like I watch battle rap, and a battle rapper, and he wasn't even saying this insultingly, but the amount of battle rappers who I have seen, and then just other people who like rap in general, battle rap or otherwise, that have said that when these battle rappers named like A-Verb, Hitman Holla, you might know Hitman Holla because he's on Wildin' Out now, Beat Magic, Young Ill, like legends who came out of St. Louis battle rap scene, who are like super lyrical and intricate and performative and all this shit. And the amount of motherfuckers who are like, I didn't know motherfuckers in St. Louis rap like this. I thought everybody rapped like Nelly. I'm like, that's the most ignorant shit. You can find a lyricist in any corner of the country, you dumbass. But hey, that's just me. Yeah. Would I be surprised if somebody came out of fucking Hawaii that was rapping as lyrical as a fucking MF Doom? Yes, I would. But at the same time, I wouldn't be like, I didn't know people in Hawaii. Bitch, people, but whatever.
Well, yeah, they're gonna do that though. That's everywhere you are. They will stereotype some other area up there because they sound like a hick version of whatever their version of English is. Like to fucking Britain, all of America sounds like hicks. Within America, and even in Britain, I'm pretty sure you have your posh types, and then you get, well, we gotta do something, like the fucking Stewie talking to the one girl with the speech lesson. The life of the wife is ended by the knife. The life of the wife is ended by the knife. No.
That was on the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plane.
Japan, I know a lot of times they view the Osaka dialect as such. I can't give you Japanese examples, but I know that's part of why often in anime dubs, somebody who would have had an Osaka dialect instead talks extra like American Southern, because that's apparently how they see how the Japanese people hear the Osaka dialect is how your quote unquote standard American dialect hears the Southern accent. So usually in dubbing, they'll make those characters have Southern accents.
Like, what was it? Android 13 was.
Look at my trucker head. Maybe. I don't know enough about Japanese and what dialect he sounded like. But I don't know what he's. I think that choice was mainly because he has a fucking trucker hat on and he looks like he's from the South. He got
trucker hat and blonde hair, right?
Yeah, I was like, he looks like he looks like he should sound that way. That's one of those choices where they probably just looked at the dude and was like, "Oh yeah, he definitely sounds like this." No, I don't reckon.
It's funny too because when he powers up and gets like metal, buff, red hair, blue, still sounds the same. Which why would his voice change? But still,
exactly.
All right. Well, speaking of damn, my segues are shitty these last two episodes.
Speaking of shitty segues, we're gonna just go ahead and start listing our socials. Jazz, what are your socials?
I see what you did there, and I appreciate it. I was gonna say, speaking of weird voices or something, I was like, that's fucking dumb.
Voice.
No, speaking of weird voices, if you want to hear us sound weird or not so weird, like that would be.
We do.
Maybe I could have made it work, and I just didn't believe.
You gotta believe. Hashtag Parappa. You gotta believe.
Anyway, okay. No, if you want to follow us on our respective socials, you can go ahead and find yours truly anywhere you stream your music. I'm a rapper, so you can go ahead and look me up under the name Superjaz, spelled Superjaz. Like I said, I dropped my debut solo album, My Secret Identity, a few years ago. You may have to put in Superjaz, My Secret Identity, since I'm not so famous yet. Also, you can go ahead and look me up on Twitter under the name Superjaz2. That's Superjaz number 2. And of course, you can find and follow me on Instagram under the name Forever Superjaz, the word forever spelled correctly. And it's funny because I just ran into somebody and we exchanged like Instagram info. And I always say the word forever spelled correctly. And when he was putting the shit in, he was like, I was like, Forever Superjaz. And he was like, oh yeah, forever, like for like just regular forever. So that's why I always say that shit.
It could have been like forever, like together.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so yeah, Forever Superjaz, the word forever spelled correctly. And if you are in the St. Louis area, mid-June, first of all, you can go ahead and find me on Facebook. You can go ahead and like the page of my production company, Aquarian Rising Productions. And mid-June, June 16th to be exact, which is opening night, I am going to be producing and in a play called A Colored Funeral, which is going to be at 517 Theater Lane. And that is June 16th, that weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 23rd, 4th, 5th. It's going to be Fridays and Saturdays at 8, Sundays at 2. Tickets are $15 at the door. Mature subject matter. Come on down. It'll be a good time because, I mean, you're going to have a good time and then also probably cry a little bit too. But it's a good time to be had by all. Where can they find you, man?
Well, you guys know you can find me here every week, every Wednesday on the Whatever We Want podcast. You can also find me elsewhere on YouTube under the channel Feogrande. That's Feo Grande. I got a show I do there with my good friend Bill Smith, who's also a great friend of the show. Exactly. Shout outs to Bill. The show's called This Guy Hasn't Seen. We trade things back and forth. I believe last week we did wrestling matches. This week, a nice little thing called In and of Itself. What is it? You're going to have to check it out. Anyway, I have a Twitter and Twitch. That's Giotavi. That is Giotabi. Come on in. Stop on by. And yeah, I'm up to something. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out one day.
Sounds pretty dope, whatever it is.
Yeah. That's it.
So that being said, whether we talk about whatever happened in this fucking episode that I can't necessarily remember because we shot more than one of these back to back and my brain is all over the place thinking about what I have to do later. What are we gonna talk about next time?
Whatever we want.
Be nice to yourself, everybody.
Adiosness.